Okay, so we're looking at operations with numbers in scientific notation. So if I'm looking at 21, remember, this is just multiplication. All four of these numbers, that, and that, I'm just multiplying them all together. So it doesn't matter in what order I multiply them in. So I'm always going to take these first two numbers that don't have the exponents on them, I'm just going to multiply those two together. So I will take my calculator, 1.58 times 6.41. That gets me 10.1, we're going to round, 10.13. Is everybody okay so far? So all I did was multiply this number times this number. Now I'm going to multiply the tens together. They have the same base, right? So it'll just be 10 to the, someone said it, negative 11th, right? Because it's negative 5 and negative 6 get me negative 11. Now, you would be done if this number were between 1 and 10. Oh, we're so close. It's bigger than 10, so I'm going to have to adjust this. If that number is between 1 and 10, though, you're like, oh, thank goodness, I'm done. I can move on. This one's not. So what you need to do, ignore this. Just look at the 10.13. If I ask you to write that in scientific notation, don't you put a decimal right after the 1, so it becomes 1.013?
Times 10 to the first.
Right, times 10 to the first. Is everybody okay with that? So what I'm really doing, I kind of wish I'll do it right here. So just this number, right? Ignore that 10 to the negative 11th. Just this one is 1.013 times 10 to the first. Now I'll bring down this times 10 to the negative 11th. And now I'm so close to being done. This is between 1 and 10, so I get to leave it. But now what's 10 to the first times 10 to the negative 11th? It'd be 10 to the negative 10th. That's my correct final answer. And I know that it's my final answer because that number is between 1 and 10. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's try another one. We already had talked about 23. I think 25 we're going to have to do some adjusting to. So let's check out 25 together. So my steps start off the same. I'm going to multiply 8.27 times 3.86. 8.27 times 3.86. 31.922. So I'll round that to 31.92 times 10 to the what power?
Negative 1.
To the negative 1. So far, are we okay? You can't give me this as an answer, though, because the instructions say to write each answer in scientific notation, and that is not correct scientific notation because that number is not between 1 and 10. So again, I need to adjust. So just look at that number. If I'm going to write that number in scientific notation, it would be
3.192 times 10 to the first.
You got it. 3.192 times 10 to the first. And then I bring down this times 10 to the negative 1. So it just so happens that this number comes out to be 3.192 times 10 to the 0. Is this all right? Now, it doesn't matter what operation you're doing. So you'll see on the back, there's some division to do. I do the division the same way. So, for example, let's just do one like, I want to start off with one that's not too crazy with this. Let's just do 31, yeah. Okay. Okay, this one, I'm just dividing two numbers in scientific notation. So my steps are almost exactly the same. I'm going to take the first two numbers, but instead of multiplying them, I divide them because this is a division problem. So I'm going to divide 3.2 by 6.9. 3.2 divided by 6.9 gets me 0.46 If I round, that'll be a 4. 0.464 times 10 to the,
First?
well,
No, negative 7. Yeah.
mm,
Oh, 1. Negative 1.
oh dear.
4 minus negative 3, so 4 plus 3 is 7.
7 to the 7th.
Oh.
To the 7th. Won't these come up?
Yes. I was thinking I had to switch that.
Okay. You would be done if that number were between 1 and 10.
And it's not.
It's not.
Gosh darn.
Darn. So we're just going to have to adjust just like we have been. So ignore the times 10 to the 7th for a minute. Put that number, 0.464. How would you write just that number in scientific notation?
4.64 times 10 to the negative 1.
Times 10 to the negative 1, right? Because it's a decimal. So I'd have 4.64 times 10 to the negative 1 times 10 to the 7th. So now when I put all the pieces together, I get 4.64 times 10 to the 6. So I'm just going to add my exponents, right? Negative 1 plus 7 gets me 6. Now I'm done. The numbers in between 1 and 10, and everything's situated. Yeah, sure. Let's say we were to try, oh, I don't know. Let's just try 32. Okay. 2.36 divided by 5.47. I get 0.431. Now, I need everybody to look, think. Don't say anything out loud. So all I did was divide these two numbers. When I do this, when I simplify 10 squared over 10 to the negative third, that's going to get me 10 to the what? Don't say it out loud. You all know this. Look at it. Think about it. Ask yourself, 10 squared up top, is it going to move? What's it doing? What's happening with that? 10 to the negative third. What happens with that? Is it moving? When all is said and done, I'll have 10 to the, okay, tell me. Fifth. Positive 5. Yes. Positive 5. Too bad, so sad. We got to fix it because that's not in proper scientific notation. Right? Because that first number has to be between 1 and 10, and it's not. So let's fix it. That first number would become 4.31 times 10 to the, right.
Times 10 to the 5th.
So all in all, it becomes 4.31 times 10 to the,
4.
yes. Let's do 34. Tell me what I do first.
You divide 2.8 to 7.89.
Yes, first I'm just dividing those first two numbers. 2.8 divided by 7.89. I got 0.355 times 10 to the. Now, this is a little weird because you're never going to have here. Okay, remember how we've been all harping on you can't have any negative exponents in your final answer? You can for scientific notation. You can't when you're simplifying. So you can have a negative exponent here. That's fine. So if I had 10 to the negative 5th and I had 10 to the 2 on the bottom, that's going to leave me with 10 to the 7th in the denominator, right? So, doesn't that mean it's 10 to the negative 7th,
Yes.
right? Because it would be in the denominator. And I'm allowed to have negative exponents with scientific notation. Are we okay? Is everybody okay? You're okay? Okay. Now fix it. Try it without me telling you what to do. Because that number's not between 1 and 10, and it has to be. So see if you can figure out how to fix it without me telling you everything. You know the answer? Hold on to it. All right, Gianna, go ahead.
3.55 times 10 to the negative 8.
Correct. Before I do it, so that number becomes 3.55 times 10 to the negative 1. And then I have this times 10 to the negative 7th.
Are you okay that I just like don't have to write out like 3.55 times 10 to the negative 1? Because I never do that. I just do.
As long as you don't mess it up when it's negative and when it's positive. Yep.
So when we move the decimal point, so when we move the decimal point, so it could be 3.55, do we always multiply it by 10 to the negative 1?
If that's a decimal, yes. If it were a bigger number, so like on the other side we had numbers that were too big, like we had 10.13, that was times 10 to the positive first.
Okay.
I always think about this number as money. If it's more than $1, it's a positive exponent. If it's less than $1, like 0.355, it's negative.
But it'd always be to the power of negative or positive 1.
No. You could have, let's see if any of these end up being like that. I'll make one up. Say you had, I don't know. Say I had like 0.6 times 10 to the negative 3rd over, I don't know, 155 times 10 to the 4th. Let's say this was my problem, right? And I did 0.6 divided by 155. That gets me 0.004 if we're going to round. What would my power of 10 be right here? -7 is correct. So this time, that number is way below 1, right? So when I go to change this, so ignore this, just 0.004. If I want to write just that number in scientific notation, it would be 4 times 10 to the what? Negative 10?
Wait, sorry, no.
Negative 3.
So like however many spaces you have to move it, okay.
So I'd have to move it 1, 2, 3 spaces. So that number would be 4 times 10 to the negative 3. Oh, you're doing the final answer. That's where, okay. I was super confused. I'm like, where'd you get a 10? But now, okay, now you will. When I put those two together, 4 times 10 to the negative 10th. Yes. Does that make sense? So it's not always a 1. It just so happens that we've had a bunch of 1s in a row. Okay. So